taking partial aim at Dave Meltzer, saying a lot of people in the wrestling community, and I know it's a highly debated topic, they like what's going on with, I call it the 8-star Meltzer matches and all that stuff. And I like that stuff too, but we're talking business, just straight business, not fan stuff. I still believe in Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley. If you don't want to see stuff like that, don't watch the NWA, because that's what I'm going to give you.
Well, let me speak of diversity here a little bit. Or instead of diversity, let me talk about variety. Not everybody is going to like everything on a wrestling show. I mean, if you see the same thing, and that's what I used to bitch about TNA, it was all wrestling, which I have, that's what it says on the sign outside, on the billboard. It says wrestling, but listen, you can give them too much wrestling. Give them some comedy. Give them something to laugh about. Give something for the kids, something for the women, and something for the men. And old time Booker told me one time, he said, listen, booking is a shitty business. No matter what you do, you're never going to hit 100. The best you could probably come to it is like 65, because 2 out of 3 people will hate what you do anyway. So, but always book something that you personally enjoy. So that's why I would book a lot of just bullshit matches that I liked, and the people would like them too. They weren't necessarily, just crappy, but they were funny. So we would book guys like, Eric Young, because he was silly and people liked him, and he was actually great in the ring, but we wouldn't book him to where it was like, unbelievable. But we got his character over, and that was our comedy match in TNA. I did it in Puerto Rico, and I booked it, and I did it in Memphis, wherever I booked. I booked something that I could personally sit back on Saturday if I was watching the show and enjoy, because it wasn't too serious. And it didn't even have to make sense sometimes. I know I'm explaining this wrong, but book something that, the kids can sit back and laugh, and the women, the mamas and the daddies, they could all sit back and watch it together as a family. And then I'd go and do the hardcore stuff, trying to draw some money. But what was the original question?
Well, I was just really giving you the quote, but I'll throw this in, then I'll give you the sort of main question. I spoke to Kevin Sullivan not too long ago. He's used this analogy before, that the best wrestling shows are like a circus. If you don't like the juggling clowns, then you got the man out the can. If you don't like the man out the can, we've got the dancing bear. It's a variety show.
He's right. You got to give something for everybody. But I always like the comedy parts a little bit, but not too heavy, but just enough to say, that is, you ever see something that's so stupid, it's good? Sometimes it's so corny, it's actually good.
I'm trying to think of an example, but
well, I can't think of it either, but I saw a movie the other day, and it was so stupid, it was actually enjoyable. And you just sit back and said, oh, God. But a lot of thought went into it, and I really enjoyed it. But Kevin is right. You got to give it. You can't say your viewing audience just likes hardcore stuff. That was ECW. It was a hardcore. Every match was hardcore. Now you watch that and you go, God, do they ever just have something that people talk normally? And that's why I got turned off of ECW, because I don't think every match needs to have blood and juice and people stretchered out and, people dying and jumping jumping 3 stories off on guys.
Or setting the head on fire.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah. But it was normal. You need to have normal stuff that's enjoyable. And that's why when you watch ECW back, you look out in the crowd, you saw no women. You may see a few, but I'm sure they were actually dragged to the matches and maybe put out in the crowd on purpose, just in camera range. But that draws a certain audience. But you would still draw that audience if you added another aspect of wrestling to it. Now you're going to draw some more fans. And Kevin Sullivan is right. Variety is the spice of life, and it certainly works in wrestling too.
With Billy Corgan saying the Meltzer style 8-star matches. So Dave Meltzer responded, I believe, on yesterday's recording this, so this is Tuesday's Wrestling Observer Radio. I'm having to paraphrase here because he said 1,000 words. He said that, and this is in response to NWA trying to draw the casual audience. Meltzer said, NWA draws 0 casual fans and very few hardcore or cult fans, considering their most recent pay-per-view sold only 600 or so live tickets, and that Tyrus and Trevor Murdoch are hardly the wrestlers to take the NWA to the next level. He also said that the only promotions to break through to a certain level since WCW folded were ROH to a point, PWG, and AEW. Your thoughts?
Well, PWG, I don't know, what is that?
That was a very, and it still is, a Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, very small promotion on the West Coast that Dave Meltzer goes to a lot. But they didn't really break through at all in a mainstream sense.
No, well, if I've never even heard of them, I thought it was Pro Wrestling Guerrilla or something.
Yeah,
that's not it.
The one. Yeah, that's the one.
Well, how do you say Niche? Niche?
Niche. Did you say niche?
I don't know. I don't even use the word because I don't. Listen, I'm from down south. If I say niche, you say, what are you talking about? But that is it's an audience of unique fans. And I don't think PWG, if they've never left the West Coast and if they're not drawing 1,000 people per show, I don't know what they draw. They might do that in LA. They got the population to do that. And what was that last one you said? ECW, ROH?
Ring of Honor to a point, and AEW. And essentially the message is that the NWA, in their quest to use bigger wrestlers to attract a casual audience, they haven't attracted any kind of casual audience.
Well, again, it's Dave Meltzer. I mean, he knows everything. He's never had a match in his life, never took a body slam, never did anything, but yet, and he is right in because he is a fan, so I'm not going to discount that, but he's missed a lot of guesses. And to miss, in 40 years, he's missed a hell of a lot. So I don't put Dave Meltzer up there as an expert of any opinion. Yeah, you can quote him, but a lot of people quote him just because he's put them over. He's agreed with them. I think Dave Meltzer is I never liked him, and there's very few people I don't like, but I just don't like Dave Meltzer because I think Dave thinks he's better than the wrestling business. He puts himself above it. And you could tell, and I'm not saying he can't write. He is a prolific writer. He actually has word diarrhea because it just keeps coming and coming and coming. And he is a good writer. I'm going to give him credit on that. But I don't disagree with any of his opinions, especially in the Japanese stuff. If it's out of that dome or whatever it is, they have those big matches in Japan, then apparently it doesn't even warrant a star rating. And for him to go out and knock Billy Corgan is Corgan's money. He can spend it however he wants to spend it. And if that's his idea of what a wrestling show should be, yeah, you don't have to agree with it. Guess what? Then don't watch it. But I think Billy would be well advised to kind of shake up his vision of a wrestling promotion, and I think he would do better. But that's not agreeing with Meltzer. I'm not agreeing with